So no one told you Twix was gonna be this lame. You clicked the video and now you are in pain. But please still be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy seeing guys strutting. So today's episode, it's gonna be a little bit different. We have a lot to unpack about the airport DLC, so be sure to stick around for that. For any newcomers, this is a weekly recap show where we pull some screenshots from Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, the internet, share them, talk about them, and we also talk about some new assets that are available in the workshop, and you just geek out about City Skylines. I won't be going over any social media posts today, but I do have 2 assets to share. Now, let's just show them off together. We have this recently released concrete water tower by DieHardHunter, and these fishing pier and wooden dock by macluk. The docks are a recent find, and Toady is very excited to have a small town feeling alternative to the vanilla fishing assets. Trying to get all of the reeds and the greenery in there makes for a lovely riverside. The concrete tower, it just comes with a story, because as soon as Toad saw it on the front page of the workshop, she said, "Hail Bubble on a stick," because when Toad was little, she lived in front of a forest, and her dad and her family used to go in the forest, play like families do, and there was these little sticks on the ground. We'll see if we can find a picture of one. It was a stick, and it had like a little bubble of plant on it, and one day, Toad used to be really cute, she picked it up and she said, "Hail Bubble on a stick." And so from then on, when they went to play in the forest, they would find these and they would pick them and they would say, "Hail Bubble on a stick." Alas, one day, many moons later, they were driving, they saw the water town in their town, and Toad looked out the window and said, "Hail Bubble on a stick," because the water towers look like the plants. And so now every time there's a water tower when they're driving by, Toad says, "Hail Bubble on a stick." And I just thought YouTube really needed to know that story about Toady. Let's get you over to the exciting news with Toad. Thanks for filling in, Guy. Now, gang, let's talk City Skylines Airports. This Friday that just passed, 2 days ago, Colossal Order announced a new DLC, City Skylines Airports. It will be releasing on the PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S, PS4, PS5 on January 25th. So Switch users will miss out. The suggested retail price is $12.99. I assume that's USD. The Paradox page that is showing behind me mentions modular airport building, airport progression, public transport, and cargo air traffic. So with these plus the price listed, it suggests that this is going to be like a full DLC, not like a content creator pack kind of thing. And we are thinking maybe it's gonna have the level up system like Park Life Campus and Industries does. On the Paradox forum, there was a user Fox_NS_CAN, and they grabbed these shots behind me, so I'm going to use them, and they show off some cool stuff. We see both a double-decker bus introduced and an articulated bus introduced. We see quite a few different style of planes, which is pretty rad. And we see this museum, which looks a heck of a lot like an airplane museum, aircraft museum. So that would probably be like one of the bonus buildings you get to put down, right? Looking at the Steam page, there are some more screenshots, of course, and we get to see that there are like different main buildings, and there's even like different air traffic controller towers, which is pretty neat. And there's also this one great view, and we see it in the trailer as well, that really shows off like just how big these airports can get. Which brings up a good point for vanilla players and or console players who only have access to 9 tiles. I've seen a few comments about how people, even with the airports that they have nowadays, like the Metropolitan Airport, Neapolitan ice cream is delicious. But anyways, I'm seeing people who say that they don't even put down airports nowadays because they only have access to 9 tiles, super hard to squeeze it in. Is Colossal Order going to be doing anything about that with the release of this DLC? Who knows? An argument could be made that that is sort of a way of introducing like some difficulty, I guess, into the game, where you have to either plan ahead and or maybe consider rezoning some low density housing or low density stuff into high density stuff to accommodate the size that's needed for an airport. I would say that's a pretty weak argument, but it's like kind of there. On a sort of connected note, we can also wonder if this DLC will bring new maps with it, like so many of the other DLCs have. And if so, are these maps just gonna have like 95% buildable area to, again, accommodate for the big, large airports? Some other thoughts we see in the trailer, I believe it's from, there's these new 3-lane one-way roads. Will we be able to place them freely, or are they going to come attached like only to the airport? I think it's some of the written information that's released with it talks about combining cargo airport with the passenger airport, and I'm super excited about that because it just feels a little bit more like my real life experience, and it's certainly gonna make traffic pretty fun to handle, eh? I am personally curious about what sort of resources we're going to have to manage. It's not something that you have to really deal with in park life or campus, but in industries you have to deal with like the resource chain, right? Is there something like that that is going to happen with this DLC? Will the oil production from our city be tied to the airport, kind of like how it is with Chirpex? I forget if ore is or not, but I think it is. And in a typical City Skylines city, public transit pretty often runs at a deficit. I would love to know kind of what's going to happen with money with this, because if we are still looking at a similar style of money spending or whatever for this sort of thing, this could probably lead to running at a huge deficit. Or when they talk about public transit in all of their written communication, does that mean that they're maybe reworking public transit to be less of a deficit running, money burning machine? Now, DLCs in the past have often been like they give you what's advertised, so in this case it would be airports, but then they give you something else as well. Will this DLC be the same? If it will, what's the something else? Is the something else the public transit that's already been talked about? Snooping some Discords, there is some talk about the textures being in 4K and being like super high res and stuff. Makes sense that that would be for these being released on the newer generation consoles. And in general, reception seems pretty mixed. I would say within some of the smaller circles, people are generally pretty positive because it's a full DLC, which is very exciting. There's of course all the whining about wanting City Skylines 2 instead, and I am personally still in the train of thought where the VR announcement and this announcement are, touch wood, hopefully not affecting any sort of timeline for City Skylines 2. I think that sure, they're working on City Skylines 2, but you know, combo of they don't want to leave us high and dry and they still need to make money. So here's a new DLC for us. What did I miss about the trailer or the information that has been given with it? Let me know in a comment below. Speaking of comments, it is time to read a comment from a video. This week's comment is from Lee Douglas, and it was on the City Skylines for Dummies series, I think part 1. And Lee says, "This is an amazing video. Thank you so much for making it. May you be blessed with good traffic." And I just want to say, may you be blessed with good traffic is, I think, how I'm going to end all of my emails, all of my tweets, everything. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on the VR announcement, there is a video on screen right now. You should click it, subscribe to the channel for more City Skylines stuff, and you are sure as heck I will be playing the DLC as soon as it drops. Thanks for watching, guys, and may you be blessed with good traffic.